Starting our lesson right at number 10, we have Gordon Cooper and the Green Orb. Gordon Cooper was an American aerospace engineer, US Air Force pilot, and the youngest on Project Mercury, which was the first human space program of the United States. During Gordon Cooper's 20-second solo journey around the Earth, he may have encountered more than just some space junk. Nearing his end of the trip around the planet, he suddenly noticed a green glowing object approaching the Mercury capsule he was flying in. He wasn't the only one to have noticed the object, as a tracking station in Australia even detected that an unidentified object was in fact moving towards a ship. When asked about the occasion, Gordon said, quote, "I believe that these extraterrestrial vehicles and their crews are visiting our planet from other planets." Coming at number 9, we have Yang Liwei and the mysterious knock. Imagine you're all alone in a tiny spacecraft. It's your first time up there, all alone in endless space, then suddenly you hear a knock as if you're back home. Well, this really happened back in 2003. Yang Liwei became the first astronaut sent into space by the Chinese space program. He described it as someone knocking the body of the spaceship just as knocking an iron bucket with a wooden hammer. Sound waves cannot travel through space, which makes it very quiet for us. So this is just more reason to question what that sound was. There are other Chinese astronauts between 2005 and 2008 who reported hearing similar sounds, and it's not like you can just open the door to check. Maybe the Chinese space program has features that NASA doesn't, or maybe there is something out there in space trying to get into the spacecraft. We'll never know. At a number 8 spot, we have Neil Armstrong may have seen a UFO parking lot. Neil Armstrong is possibly the most famous astronaut of all time. I mean, he was the first to step on the moon and say the famous quote, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
He has had worldwide media coverage regarding his moon expedition, but he notes that there was something else he witnessed there that was way more spectacular. I know this one is far-fetched, but according to book Aliens and Man, a synopsis of facts and belief, it's rumored that Armstrong sent a secret message to NASA during the Apollo 11 mission, saying, quote, "These babies were huge, sir, enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out there. They're on the moon watching us." He has never spoken about this occasion, maybe because he was bribed to not talk, or he was just completely silenced. At a number 7 spot, we have Story Mosgrove saw a space eel. Story Mosgrove is one of the most experienced astronauts in history. He is one of the only ones to have flown in 6 different space flights. So when he's in space and he says something looks off, you best believe it looks off. Musgrave described what he saw as an eel-like creature that was just swimming in space. He said that it was eel-like because of its long, whitish figure, which closely resembles the eels back on Earth. Also noted that the creature had a unique way of propelling itself throughout space. And the odd thing is, he didn't just see this creature once, but multiple times. So it couldn't have been a hallucination, right? In an interview on Sightings in 1995, Musgrave said, quote, "The more you fly in space, the more you see an incredible amount of things that just sort of brings to you really a certainty that other living creatures are out there." At a number 6 spot, something James McDivitt can't describe. James McDivitt is an American former test pilot, United States Air Force pilot, aeronautical engineer, and a NASA astronaut who flew in the Gemini and Apollo programs. In one of his expeditions to space, he reported something flying around. The only way he could describe the figure is by calling it a geometrical shape similar to that of a beer can or pop, with something looking like a finger or pencil sticking out of it. He quickly took footage of it, but it did not look like your typical circular UFO. It was moving around as if it was a spacecraft. Right in the hump for our list, we have a UFO exploding. On May 5th, 1981, retired Russian cosmonaut Vladimir K saw something remarkable from the porthole of Salyut 6. According to Vladimir, at around 6 p.m., when the spacecraft was flying over South Africa, moving towards the Indian Ocean, he saw an elliptical shaped object that was flying along with the spacecraft. From the frontal view, it looked like it would rotate in flight direction. Vladimir said, quote, "The object resembles a barbell. I saw it becoming transparent like there was a body inside. At the other end, I saw something like gas discharging, like a reactive object." This is how he drew the sketch of the supposed UFO. Then all of a sudden, 2 explosions happened on the UFO, in which he reported seeing it go down with clouds of smoke behind it. At a number 4 spot, we have Apollo 10 weird music. This was the mission just before Apollo 11 and paved its way. American astronauts Tom Stafford, Gene Cernan, and John Young were sent to the space to orbit and examine the far side of the moon. Only 4 days in their expedition, the 3 began to hear otherworldly organized sound coming from their headsets. They all reported hearing it for a total of 1 hour. They said, quote, "Boy, that sure is weird music. They heard this audio only when they're on the far side of the moon, which is out of contact with mission control and the farthest that any human has ever been from Earth. They ended the transcript saying, quote, "You know, that was funny. That's just something from outer space. Really, who's going to believe it?" All the way at number 3 spot, we have strange lights. American astronaut Leroy Chiao was the commander of the International Space Station in 2005. During his exploration, Chiao along with his crew claimed to observe a strange set of lights in space, specifically 5 bright lights. According to Chiao, the formation resembled an upside down question mark. He believes to this day he was visited by aliens and even went out saying, quote, "I'm skeptical of the claims that we've been visited by aliens from another planet or other dimension, but I don't rule it out 100%. I have an open mind and I do believe there are other life in this universe." Sadly, at our number 2 spot, we have corpses in space. Before they started manned missions to space, countries including the USSR and the USA first sent a variety of animals to space as test subjects. I know, it's kind of cruel. Examples are Laika the dog, Miss Baker the squirrel monkey, and Ham the chimp, just to name a few. Some of them made it back safely to Earth, while for others, a slight error in calculations meant space became their pet cemetery. Fast forward a few years and we started flying into space. Astronauts who would go on the suborbital trips can sometimes observe the corpses of these martyrs of human advancement. And while this is sad, coming across the floating corpses of these innocent animals can be a freakishly haunting experience for these astronauts. Finally, at our number 1 spot, we have a DNA difference. Scott Kelly is an engineer, a naval aviator, and is a former NASA astronaut, and when he was in space, his DNA was literally changing. No, he didn't turn into the Hulk or anything. This is what really happened to him. Scott then took part on a year-long mission aboard the International Space Station. Once Scott returned from his mission, he and his brother Mark were both subjected to a 2-year-long study because they were twins, and they just wanted to find out the differences they could find from one person being in space and one person being on Earth. After the study concluded, NASA confirmed that 7% of Scott's genes were in fact different. So basically, it was discovered that space changes your DNA. They stated that the changing genes were due to the different demands on the body when he was in space. Well, there we have it, our top 10 scary astronaut encounters. What do you guys think about this list? Personally, I like the Gordon Cooper with the green orb because this is the one that has always popped up to me when I search about scariest things in space. But let me know what you think in the comment section below.
Number 10, the Men in Black encounter in Roswell, New Mexico. In 1947, a farmer reportedly witnessed a crashed UFO near the town of Roswell and found 3 humanoid figures dressed in black suits surrounding the craft. When he approached them, they simply vanished without a trace. The mysterious encounter in Roswell, New Mexico has become one of the most widely discussed and debated incidents among believers in UFOs. There have been various theories as to who these figures were, with some believing they were extraterrestrials, while others suggest they could have been representatives from a secret government agency or even time travelers. The witnesses described the men as being tall and intimidating, with bald heads and pale skin. They also wore dark sunglasses and gloves, making them appear even more mysterious. While some believe that these men in black may be part of an alien conspiracy to keep humans from discovering their presence on Earth, there's no concrete evidence to support this claim. What makes this particular case so intriguing is the fact that similar encounters with unknown individuals wearing black suits have been reported throughout history in different parts of the world. These stories involve strange events such as being taken for unexplained tests or receiving warnings about speaking publicly about UFOs or other paranormal activity. For example, witnesses have reported seeing a mysterious figure warning them not to speak out about what they saw or heard. As a result, many believe that these men in black are part of a global cover-up of alien activities on Earth. Number 9, the Lubbock Lights case. On August 25th, 1951, several citizens of Lubbock, Texas reported seeing up to 25 glowing objects flying in formation over the city skyline at around 8 p.m. All witnesses reported that 2 mysterious men in black appeared soon after and questioned each one about their experience before departing with no explanation. The Lubbock Lights case is one of the most famous Men in Black encounters of all time. All witnesses described the objects as being shaped like saucers or discs and emitting a bluish-greenish glow. Shortly after the sightings, 2 mysterious figures wearing black suits reportedly appeared and began questioning each witness about their experience before disappearing without a trace. The incident gained national attention when a newspaper reporter wrote an article detailing the accounts of those involved and speculating that they had seen an alien spacecraft. The story was picked up by the national news outlets and sparked much debate among the public. Since then, there has been much speculation over what these men in black may have been. Some believe that it was extraterrestrials, Some think they could be government agents sent to cover up evidence of UFOs or aliens. No definitive answer has ever been found as to their identity or purpose. Number 8. The Puerto Rican MIBs. A group of Puerto Rican teenagers were reportedly harassed by a pair of men in black in 1993. The Puerto Rican MIBs incident has remained a source of fascination and speculation for over 2 decades. In 1993, a group of teenagers from Puerto Rico reported that they were followed by 2 men in black for several days. The MIBs took photographs and asked questions about their experience seeing a UFO in the area. Witnesses described the MIBs as wearing dark suits and driving an old car without license plates. The incident gained widespread attention when it was reported in the media and sparked much speculation over who these mysterious figures may have been. Some believe that they could have been hoaxers or pranksters trying to scare people. In recent years, some researchers have attempted to uncover more information about these MIBs by attempting to locate witnesses who saw them during that time period. However, there has not been substantial evidence found which suggests what these strange figures may have wanted or who they were associated with. Despite the lack of solid evidence, the case of the Puerto Rican men in black still remains one of the most mysterious encounters with this phenomena ever reported. It is yet another example of how little we really know about the world around us and how vast our universe truly is. Number 7. The Battle of Brisbane. During the early 1950s, 2 Australian scientists reported being harassed by 4 men in black who demanded they turn over a computer they had built to analyze flying saucer data. When the MIBs threatened violence, the Australians fought back and scared them off. The Battle of Brisbane is one of the strangest men in black cases to ever occur. Witnesses described the MIBs as wearing black suits and having pale skin, dark facial hair, and no facial features. They reportedly communicated to the scientists in a strange language that sounded like an alien dialect. When the MIBs threatened violence, one of the scientists fought back with a hammer and scared them off. The incident has since become part of UFO folklore and remains a source of fascination for many. Although there is no concrete evidence that proves the Battle of Brisbane actually occurred, the case has caught the attention of UFO researchers and alien enthusiasts for over 60 years. Number 6. The Maury Island Incident. The Maury Island Incident is one of the most famous and mysterious men in black cases ever reported. In 1947, Harold Dahl was fishing near Puget Sound in Washington State when he noticed 6 unusual objects hovering above his boat. At first, he assumed they were aircraft from a nearby military base, but upon closer inspection, they seemed to be something else entirely. The objects then disappeared, and 2 men dressed entirely in black stepped out of the fog and approached Dahl's boat. The men warned him not to tell anyone about his sighting, or else there would be consequences. They reportedly spoke in a strange language that sounded like an alien dialect and had pale skin and no facial features just like the previous ones. After the incident, Dahl went public with his story, which led to widespread media coverage and speculation. Many people believe that the men in black were extraterrestrials sent to protect alien technology from being discovered, while others suggest they could have been hoaxers or pranksters. Number 5. The Flatwoods Monster. The Flatwoods Monster encounter is one of the most famous and perplexing men in black cases ever reported. In 1952, a group of West Virginians were playing in some nearby woods when they noticed a strange metallic figure accompanied by 2 men in black. Witnesses described the figures as wearing black suits. The MIBs then proceeded to threaten the people not to tell anyone what they had seen. Terrified, the people ran back to their homes and told their parents about their incident. In the days following, news spread quickly about the alleged sighting, and people from other towns began to flock to Flatwoods in search of answers. Local law enforcement conducted an investigation into what had happened, but weren't able to find any evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Since then, researchers have speculated as to who these mysterious figures may have been. Some believe it was just some random people trying to scare people away from investigating further. Number 4. The Falcon Lake Incident. The Falcon Lake Incident is one of the most notorious Men in Black cases in recent history. In 1967, Canadian resident Stefan Michalak was looking for quartz in a remote area near Falcon Lake when he encountered 2 men in black. Michalak claims that he approached the MIBs to ask what they were doing at the lake but received no response. He then noticed a large craft hovering above him which had 2 exhaust pipes on its underside before it suddenly vanished. After this incident, Michalak reported suffering from radiation poisoning, nausea, and burns on his chest, which may have been caused by contact with an alien energy source. In the days following his encounter, Michalak also found strange footprints left behind by the MIBs, as well as metallic debris which seemed to be part of some sort of advanced technology or machinery. Number 3. The Allagash Abduction. In 1976, 4 4 college students from Maine were out camping near Allagash Waterway when they noticed a strange light in the night sky. Initially believed to be an airplane, the group soon realized that what they were witnessing was something far more mysterious as the light began to move around erratically before eventually disappearing. A few minutes later, the group heard a loud humming sound coming from above and saw 2 bright lights in the sky. This time they knew it wasn't an airplane. The next thing they remembered was waking up hours later with no recollection of what had happened during those hours. The 4 men reported that their abductors had gray skin with large eyes and bald heads and communicated telepathically with them during their experience. They were taken aboard a UFO where various medical tests were performed on them before being released back to their campsite. Afterwards, the men encountered 2 men in black who warned them not to tell anyone about their experience or else face serious consequences. Number 2, the Kecksburg incident. The Kecksburg incident is one of the most mysterious and controversial events in modern history. On December 9, 1965, an object resembling a large bell was seen crashing in Pennsylvania's woods near the town of Kecksburg. Witnesses reported seeing several military vehicles racing to the scene, as well as some mysterious figures dressed entirely in black. The strange object was eventually retrieved by the military, but no explanation was given as to what it could have been. Some witnesses described it as being a large metallic acorn-shaped object with an inscribed symbol on one side resembling the letter O, or U, wrapped around a diamond shape. Others claim to have heard high-pitched sounds coming from it before it was taken by the military. When local residents asked about the incident, they were told that nothing out of the ordinary had happened and that it must have been a weather balloon or a meteorite. However, multiple eyewitness accounts suggest that this is unlikely and that something else may have taken place that day in Kecksburg. Speculation suggests that what crashed near Kecksburg could have been an alien spacecraft or even some sort of advanced secret government project. Number 1, the Toronto encounter. The Toronto encounter is one of the most bizarre and perplexing UFO encounters in recent history. On August 3, 1989, 3 Canadian ufologists, John Venter, Paul Shishis, and Don Ledger, were out on a boat near Lake Ontario when they noticed an abnormally large craft hovering in the night sky above them. It was described as being several hundred feet long, flat black in color, and had no visible windows or doors. The men were immediately overcome with fear, but managed to take some photographs before the craft quickly shot off into the distance. Afterward, they returned to shore only to find 5 mysterious figures dressed entirely in black waiting for them along the beach. They warned them not to tell anything about what they had seen, and this incident has been thoroughly investigated by various researchers and scientists over the years, but still remains unsolved due to the lack of evidence.
Starting at number 10, mad cow disease. Now, despite the funny name, this one's actually kind of freaky. Scientists found out that many people may be silent carriers for mad cow disease and won't know for another decade or so. Mad cow disease from the 1980s to 1990s was due to cows being fed the remains of other animals. People then ate their beef and consumed prions, a protein that can destroy the human brain. It's thought that many people still might carry prions, but won't know until they start experiencing the symptoms of Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, sorry if I mispronounced that, which might be 10 to 50 years after consuming the contaminated meat. You can also contract the prions from blood transfusions, which is why so many UK citizens from that time period still aren't allowed to donate blood. Once the symptoms begin, cognitive impairment, memory loss, hallucinations, etc., you usually pass within months and there is no cure or treatment.
Definitively determined. A widely accepted theory is that BSE is caused by changes in the prion protein, PRP, found in highest concentrations in the plasma membrane of neurons.
Now at number 9, nuclear waste. Back in 1946 to 58, the US tested 60 nuclear weapons on the Marshall Islands and buried the nuclear leftover waste and soil in a 30-foot deep cavern, sealing it with a concrete dome. Scientists discovered the dome is cracking and now it's leaking into the ocean and it's not fixing itself. And the people responsible are essentially ignoring it or saying it's not their problem. This is just making our planet worse for people. And people that swim in the ocean, it's very dangerous and life-threatening. Here at number 8, artificial general intelligence. In other words, a digital computer that is superhuman in all cognitive tasks. Humans are imbued by evolution with a sort of general learning algorithm, but it's running on a very slow biological computer with low input or output speed. talking, tapping thumbs, reading, etc. Once we can implant that algorithm in silicone, a computer chip, there's a good chance it'll be superhuman in a matter of days or less. Sort of on the level of intelligence gap you might feel between you and a mosquito. Coming in at number 7, mass extinction. Paleontologists have identified 5 points in Earth's history when, for whatever reason, asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, and atmospheric changes are the main suspects. Mass extinctions eliminated many or most species. The concept of extinction took a while to sink in. Thomas Jefferson saw mastodon bones from Kentucky, for example, and concluded that the giant animals must still be living somewhere in the interior of the continent. Today, according to many biologists, we are in the midst of a 6th great extinction. Mastodons may have been some of the earliest victims. As humans moved from continent to continent, large animals that have thrived for millions of years began to disappear. Mastodons in North America, giant kangaroos in Australia, and dwarf elephants in Europe. Whatever the cause of this early wave of extinctions, humans are driving modern extinctions by hunting, destroying habitat, introducing invasive species, and inadvertently spreading diseases. Now at number 6, blood falls. Discovered over a century ago, it took 100 years before British scientists knew this was a living organism, which went from green to red as sunlight hit it, which darkened the snow and ice, bringing on an unnatural melt. The discovery came at the hands of a team of scientists, including National Geographic emerging explorer Aaron C. Petit, located in Antarctica's McMurdo Dry Valleys. The falls pour from Taylor Glacier, and the liquid bubbles up from the fissures in the glacier's surface. The flow was previously a mystery, as the mean temperatures is 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit, or 17 degrees Celsius. The organisms now cover about half of the Antarctic, accelerating climate change and seemingly immune to interference. Halfway at number 5, bees disappearing. So most people already know that our honeybees are endangered, and we need honeybees to survive. But what some people don't know is that in a study published in the journal Cell Press, it reported more than 25% of known bee species have disappeared from the public record over the last 30 years. The researchers characterized the change in the total number of species collected worldwide as a sharp decline. Loss of habitat, agriculture practices, biodiversity loss, and parasites are all possible culprits driving bee decline. The study notes that these roughly 20,000 bee species are most of the important group of insect pollinators on Earth, pollinating 85% of all cultivated crops. Now at number 4, skull. So this one is pretty short, but I thought I'd include it anyway because it's terrifying. 7 large skeletons were found in the 1880s, all with the same skull as this. Like what? It looks like a human skull, but what are those horn-looking things? It is theorized that the skull came from a living thing resembling a human, but was more animal-like, kinda how apes developed into people. Others think it's from some beast-like demon who hunted and ate people. Here at number 3, real-life Thanos snap. The Higgs boson, which was hypothesized decades ago, was discovered through the Large Hadron Collider. It's a real-life discovery that proved that it's what gives mass to everything. But there is a non-zero chance that a Higgs boson can drop to a lower energy state. And because of the law of entropy, it's the preferred state to decay to a lower energy state if possible. The influence of a low energy state boson would kick off a chain reaction, causing other Higgs bosons to drop to a lower energy state. The problem with this is that if a Higgs boson drops to a lower energy state, then it can't give mass to things anymore, which has universal implications when mass doesn't have mass anymore. It's all theorized that the small probability of this occurring could lead to a circumstance where the universe as we know it disappears. Essentially, it would occur like an absolute void progressing through the universe. Low energy state Higgs boson and infecting any other Higgs bosons they come across. It causes everything to disappear in the universe, but only at the speed of light rather than instantaneously. Moving on to number 2, Mars water. A study was published earlier this year in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, reconstructing the red planet's early history, using data from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter to look back onto the planet's history. Kite and his colleagues proposed clouds once warmed the planet just enough to sustain patches of liquid water at the surface. This one is pretty interesting because this means Mars could possibly be habitable, and with our planet slowly dying, this means later generations might live on Mars.
Mars colonization is now actually conceivable, but it would take a bit more than a few drops of water.
Taking our number 1 spot, pineapple. Now I know this one sounds silly, but when I read it, my jaw literally dropped. Scientists have discovered that pineapple is the only fruit in the whole world which contains the enzyme called bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme which breaks down protein. Considering that 16% of the human body is made up of protein, mostly in our flesh, it means that bromelain in pineapples can actually break down protein in our flesh, essentially eating us from the inside. However, most of the enzymes are thankfully destroyed by the acid in our stomach, so pineapple won't actually pose too much of a threat to your life, although this is often used as a reason to explain why pineapple farmers have no fingerprints. Constant physical interaction with pineapples has worn them off, though this is not scientifically proven yet, just a hypothesis.
Now, pineapple has citric acid along with bromelain. It's not the citric acid that causes the burning, it's the bromelain that's eating your mouth.
Coming in at a number 10 spot, we have the silver spinning disc in Montana. In August of 1950, baseball coach Nick Mariana was scouting a new ball field in Great Falls, Montana, accompanied by his secretary and a 16mm film camera. While focusing on the sky above the field, Mariana captured an 11-second clip of two silver objects appearing to fly in tandem across the Montana sky. This video is particularly interesting because it was captured before satellites crowded the sky, making seeing any light traveling across the sky a very unusual event. Mariana's incident occurred during the UFO craze of the late 1940s and early 50s. It began when Kenneth Arnold first reported seeing strange objects fly into Mount Rainier in 1947, coining the term flying saucer. And it hit a fever pitch after the Roswell incident in New Mexico the same year, which has since become very popular for anyone doing research on UFOs. Nick Mariana was so convinced he'd film a UFO that he reached out to the US Air Force to report the incident. They examined his footage, and with today's technology, it's quite easy to insert UFOs into digital video. However, this was not the case for Mariana's footage. Nonetheless, whatever we're seeing here was captured in a camera at that moment, ruling out any possibility of a hoax. At a number 9 spot, we have the Eastern Airlines UFO sighting. In the world of UFO encounters, there is one incident that stands out as the grandfather of all of them. This encounter has been giving professionals the chills for decades, not only because of the credibility of the witnesses, but also because it happened before the UFO mania in popular media. This incident took place on July 24, 1948 in the early morning hours. Clarence Chills, the chief pilot, and John Whitted, the co-pilot, were flying an Eastern Airlines passenger plane near Montgomery, Alabama at an altitude of about 5,000 feet on a clear night. At around 2:45 a.m., Chills spotted something that would change his life forever. He saw a dull red glow above and ahead of the aircraft and excitedly told Whitted, quote, "Look, here comes a new Army jet job." The object rapidly closed in on their DC-3 in just a matter of seconds and flew right past the right side of their plane before pulling up with a tremendous burst of flame out of its rear and zoomed into the clouds. Chills and Whitted were left stunned and could not believe what they had just witnessed. They described the object as a flying cigar with 2 decks and a window. To make matters even more bizarre, one of the plane passengers, C.L. McKelvey, reported seeing a bright streak of light that flashed by his window as well. Despite the passengers' and pilots' accounts, skeptics later challenged the story, claiming that what they saw was probably a meteor. At a number 8 spot, we have the USS Omaha sightings. Leaked footage obtained by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell had stirred up the online community with its mysterious content. The video comes from inside the USS Omaha's Combat Information Center and shows a fear-like object flying near the ship in windy and choppy conditions. The ship appears to be concerned enough to prepare to launch a helicopter as the object approaches and eventually dives into the ocean range. The crucial element in this video is the object's ability to plunge into the ocean, classifying it as a transmedium UFO, also known as an identified submerged object, a USO. Bet you didn't know that. Some experts believe that extraterrestrial life forms are exploring the Earth's oceans, possibly using underwater bases. The recent video raises many questions about the origins and capabilities of such objects, and many possible explanations have been ruled out, including a parachute flare, a weather balloon, and a drone. While the US military has not been able to identify the object, some experts believe it could be a foreign military asset. However, the vagueness of the report leaves the topic wide open for further debate. But who really knows what other secrets the ocean depths may hold, waiting to be discovered? All the way at a number 7 spot, we have the UFO dogfight. Lieutenant George F. Gorman of the North Dakota Air National Guard claimed that he had a prolonged dogfight with an identified flying object in the skies above Fargo. This event occurred on October 1st, 1948, and Gorman's account of it has captivated believers and skeptics alike for over 7 decades. As Gorman was preparing to land his P-51 aircraft, he noticed a strange light in the sky below him. It appeared to be a small white object that was blinking on and off. He then contacted the tower to inquire about other planes in the area, but they informed him that there were none. Intrigued, Gorman decided to investigate. As he approached the object, it suddenly pulled into a sharp left bank as if making a pass at the tower. Gorman attempted to follow it, but the object charged at him and collision seemed imminent. Then the UFO shot straight up into the air in a steep climb up and disappeared overhead. Some skeptics have suggested that Gorman may have mistaken the planet Venus or a weather balloon for a UFO. However, believers in extraterrestrial life are fascinated by the details of this encounter, including the fact that the object seemed to be under intelligent control and had the ability to move at very high speeds. Number 6, the Gulf of Mexico orbs. In March 2004, a Mexican Air Force surveillance plane patrolling the Gulf of Mexico for drug smugglers captured footage of a string of glowing orbs that seemed to fly in formation. The crew counted 11 objects, but only 3 of them showed up on the plane's radar. The camera operator declared the footage 100% real, and the Mexican Secretary of Defense released it for scientific study. The incident immediately sparked hot debate, with some suggesting it could be a fleet of aircraft flown by drug smugglers. However, the objects never distanced themselves from each other, making it very unlikely or these drug smugglers are the best people at flying. Other theories include ball lightning or space junk, but there are also improbable explanations. Forensic video analyst Mike West concluded that this is real video of UFOs, and astronomer and video effects designer Mark D'Antoni considers them to be genuine UFO sightings. Coming in at the hump of our list, we have Travis Walton. Alien abduction time. So in 1975, Travis Walton was working as a logger in Arizona when he claimed to have been abducted by a UFO. He was with a group of other loggers at the time, and they all witnessed a UFO before it whisked Walton away. After being missing for 5 days, Walton reappeared with a very strange story of having been taken aboard the UFO and subjected to a series of medical examinations by the aliens. He claimed he was taken to a somewhat operation room with 3 short bald-headed figures where he started to panic and fight them off. And this was when a human-looking figure took him to another room where he passed out and then reappeared on a highway completely nude. The incident gained widespread attention and was even investigated by the US Air Force. And for those who want to know more, the story was later made into a book and a film called Fire in the Sky in 1993. So go check it out if you want to know more. Down at a number 4 spot, we have the triangle-shaped UFOs. In July of 2019, military exercise off the coast of California were being disrupted by a UFO that was caught on camera. Filmmaker Jeremy Corbell released night vision footage recorded on the USS Russell, which picked up 3 objects flying overhead. The largest object was blinking and appeared to be either a pyramid or triangle shape. This is very significant because there has been numerous sightings of triangular UFOs since the mid-1970s. The fact that the Navy confirmed that this video was used in their intelligence reports is also compelling. However, experts believe that the objects caught on camera could be Chinese drones used for surveillance. It is still unclear whether these UFOs are of foreign or otherworldly origin. In the end, the UFO footage has not been determined to be real nor fake, but this is definitely another UFO sighting that seems to be put under the radar. At a number 3 spot, we have Mongolia's light beam. In October 2019, a mysterious object was seen in the skies over the industrial capital of Inner Mongolia, China. Citizens were left stunned as a large bright object corkscrewed overhead, leaving a breathtaking trail. Views of the object quickly spread online, leading to theories about its origin and its purpose. While a rocket launch seemed like the most obvious explanation, this event was very unusual. You see, rocket launches typically do not occur over densely populated areas, and their contrails are not typically illuminated like this one. Additionally, rockets usually have linear flight trajectories, whereas this object seemed to be maneuvering throughout the sky. Many theories have been posited about the object's origin and purpose, with some speculating that it could be the debut of breakthrough military technology, or maybe some proof of extraterrestrial life. Despite all of this, the most likely explanation is that the object was a Chinese rocket, possibly from the Dongfang Aerospace City, where new space-age technology is being developed. Number 2, Nevada test site UFO. In 1994, something unusual was captured by remote-controlled cameras from Nellis Air Force Base, which is monitoring the airspace above the top-secret Nevada test and training range. The 12 minutes of footage showed an object that moved erratically in the sky, appearing to be a craft of undefined shape and origin that wouldn't be explained by the aircraft technology available at the time. The object didn't appear to have any wings or rotor blades, and it appeared to change shape in flight. What made this even more intriguing is that this happened within the vicinity of Area 51, a place we all think is somehow connected to all the alien stuff, with many in the UFO community believing it is a hotspot for testing alien technology. Despite many explanations, the incident was not mentioned in the government's recent UFO report, leaving many wondering what the Pentagon thinks of this. Coming in at our number 1 spot, we have the Roswell incident. In April 2011, the FBI released thousands of files as part of its online FBI vault. Among these files was a memo dated March 22nd, 1950, which was briefing to FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover regarding information about 3 flying saucers that were recovered in New Mexico. This memo immediately drew attention from the media and independent researchers who connected it to the infamous Roswell incident. And for those who don't know, was a purported UFO crash that many believe was covered up by the military in 1947. However, this document was just the latest in a series of government files that has been released in recent years, suggesting that there may have been more to the Roswell crash than the public was told. However, the official story was suddenly changed to suggest that it was nothing more than a failed weather balloon. All the way at a number 10 spot, we have the case of Travis Walton. In 1975, Travis Walton was working as a logger in Arizona when he claimed to have been abducted by a UFO. He was with a group of other loggers at the time, and they all witnessed a UFO before it whisked Walton away. After being missing for 5 days, Walton reappeared with a strange story of having been taken aboard the UFO and subjected to a series of medical examinations by these aliens. He claimed he was taken to a somewhat operation room with 3 short bald-headed figures, where he started to panic and fight them off. And this is when a human-looking figure took him to another room, and this is when he passed out and reappeared on a highway completely nude. The incident gained widespread attention and was even investigated by the US Air Force. Many people were skeptical of Walton's story, and some even suggested that he may have fabricated the whole thing. However, the other loggers who were with Walton at the time of the incident all swore that they saw the UFO and that they believed that Walton was telling the truth. The story was later made into a book and film named Fire in the Sky in 1993, so go check it out. And to this day, people are still divided on the truth of Walton's story, and this incident remains one of the most well-known UFO abduction cases in history. At a number 9 spot, we have the Barney and Betty Hill abduction. The Barney and Betty Hill abduction is a well-known case of an alleged extraterrestrial abduction in the United States. The incident took place in September 1961 as Barney and Betty Hill were driving back to Portsmouth, New Hampshire from a vacation. Betty first spotted a bright point of light in the sky that appeared to be moving erratically and growing bigger and brighter. Barney stopped the car for a closer look, and both of them observed an odd-shaped craft with multicolored lights that appeared to be rotating. The Hills claimed that the craft descended rapidly towards their vehicle, and Barney even claimed to have seen humanoid figures peering out the windows. The Hills reported that the craft approached to within 50 to 80 feet overhead, and Barney ran back to the car in a near hysterical state, claiming that the figures were going to capture them. The couple reported experiencing missing time and later underwent hypnosis to try to recover any lost memories. The incident became widely publicized and was the subject of a best-selling book and a television film. The Hills story has been the subject of much debate and speculation over the years. However, their case will forever remain one of the most well-known UFO abduction cases in the United States. At number 8 spot, we have Antonio Villas-Boas. Antonio Villas-Boas was a Brazilian farmer who claimed to have been abducted by extraterrestrials in 1957. On October 16, 1957, he was working in his fields when he saw a red star in the sky that approached and became a circular or egg-shaped aerial craft with a rotating cupola. According to his story, he was seized by small, gray-clad humanoids, taken inside the aircraft, and then subjected to a series of procedures including blood sampling, exposure to a gas that made him violently ill, and sexual intercourse with a female humanoid. Boaz claimed that he was then given a tour of the ship and watched it take off before returning home to discover that 4 hours had passed. He claimed to have suffered from nausea, weakness, headaches, and skin lesions following the alleged event. Boaz later became a lawyer and stuck to the story of his abduction for his entire life. Some people consider his story to be a hoax, although he reportedly maintained his account until his death in 1991. At a number 7 spot, we have the Taylor incident. The Taylor incident, also known as the Livingston incident or the Detchmont Woods encounter, is an alleged extraterrestrial sighting that occurred in Scotland in 1979. Forester Robert Taylor claimed to have encountered a flying dome, which is this large circular sphere with small propellers in the Detchmont Law Forest. He reported that smaller spheres resembling sea mines had seized him and were trying to drag him in the direction of the large object before he just lost consciousness. When he awoke, the objects were gone and he walked home with torn clothing and grazes on his chin and thighs. The police reported the incident as a criminal assault, and doctors treated Taylor's injuries. Ufologists have taken an interest in the story, and Taylor has become well known among UFO enthusiasts as the only person to have reported a UFO sighting that was a subject to a criminal investigation. Ufologist Malcolm Robinson believes the incident could be a genuine case of a UFO encounter, while UFO skeptic Stuart Campbell believes the story could have been a simple explanation and pointed to PVC pipes stored in the clearing that could have caused the ground markings. At a number 6 spot, we have the Pascagoula abduction. The Pascagoula abduction was a highly publicized event that took place in October 1973. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker were fishing near Pascagoula, Mississippi when they claimed to have been abducted by aliens. They reported seeing 2 flashing blue lights and an oval-shaped object that was approximately 30 to 40 feet in diameter and 8 to 10 feet in height. The 2 men reported being paralyzed while these 3 creatures with slit mouths and crab-like pincers performed an examination on them. After the event, Hickson went on to give interviews and lectures and even appeared on television shows like To Tell the Truth. Parker became involved in the UFO community and even started a company focused on producing TV stories about UFO sightings. However, many skeptics have cast doubt on the validity of the Pascagoula abduction. Philip J. Klass, an aviation journalist and UFO skeptic, found inconsistencies in Hickson's story and concluded that it was all a big hoax. Joe Nickell also expressed skepticism, suggesting that Hickson may have fantasized about the encounter while in a hypnagogic state, which is basically hallucinations that happen while you're sleeping. Parker's corroboration of the tale was seen as a result of suggestibility, as he initially told the police that he had passed out during the incident. No one will really know the truth of this abduction, but it still remains a pioneer in extraterrestrial interactions. In the hump of our list, we have the disappearance of Frederick Valentich. Frederick Valentich was a young Australian pilot who disappeared during a training flight in 1978, and his story has been shrouded in mystery and speculation ever since. On the evening of October 21st, Valentich radioed Melbourne Air Traffic Control to report that he was being followed by an aircraft 1,000 feet above him and that his engine was running roughly. He went on to describe the aircraft as not being like anything he had ever seen before, with a shiny metal surface and a green light. His transmission was then interrupted by metallic scraping noises before all contact was lost. A search was then conducted, but no trace of Valentich or his aircraft was ever found. Some have proposed that he staged his own disappearance, while others believe he became disoriented and just crashed into the water, mistaking his own lights for those of another aircraft. The investigation by the Australian Department of Transport was unable to determine the cause of his disappearance, but it was presumed fatal. Despite extensive searches and investigations, the fate of Frederick Valentich still remains a mystery, and it really brings in the question of what was really following him in the sky that day. Number 4, a UFO encounter or just sleep paralysis. A now deleted Reddit user was lying in their bed with their girlfriend when they woke up from an intense dream, and as he was about to tell his girlfriend, he realized that he couldn't move a muscle. All of a sudden, they heard someone yell out, "Watch out, he's awake," and he began to feel pressure on his chest, all while being tied down to a dentist-like chair. The Reddit user then heard a metal door close loudly and then just complete silence, which seemed to last an eternity. They could hear their girlfriend breathing in her sleep next to them, but were unable to move or even wake her up. This is when the user came up with the idea that they had been abducted by aliens. After a couple of minutes, it had seemed like they were transported back to their bed. After they regained control of their body, the user woke up with their girlfriend and went downstairs, where they had a glass of juice and smoked a cigarette in the garden due to the stress. They took their tablet and researched what they had experienced, and it was either sleep paralysis or an alien abduction. They then left off with a message saying that anyone who have claimed to have been abducted by aliens might have actually just experienced sleep paralysis, and maybe there's some truth to that. Number 3, the UFO encounter of Marius de Wilde. The French commune of Quarobo made headlines in September 10, 1954, when a local railway worker named Marius de Wilde claimed to have been visited by extraterrestrials. According to reports, de Wilde claimed that a cigar-shaped UFO landed near his garden and 2 small creatures in spacesuits resembling dive costumes emerged. The UFO shot a beam of light that paralyzed de Wilde, and by the time he recovered, the aliens were already getting ready to leave. Despite an investigation by the authorities that found unusual marks on the railway tracks, there was no concrete evidence of an alien encounter. The story of Marius de Wilde's experience with extraterrestrials quickly spread and reached the wine-producing village Châteauneuf-du-Pape, located hundreds of miles from Quarobo. the local mayor and town council were keen to protect their citizens and vineyards from potential alien invaders, and as a result, passed a municipal decree that banned all UFOs from landing, taking off, or flying over the community, which is just very strange. This strange and unique occurrence has become one of France's most fascinating UFO stories. Number 2, The Visitors. Louis Whitley Strieber is an American writer known for his horror novels and non-fiction books exploring paranormal concepts. Strieber claims to have been abducted by non-human entities, which he referred to as visitors, and he even wrote about his experiences in Communion, a non-fiction book that became his bestseller and reached the #1 position on the New York Times bestseller list. Strieber's subsequent books also detail his experiences with the visitors, including Transformation, Breakthrough the Next Step, and Solving the Communion Enigma, What is to Come. In his writings, Strieber has explored the idea of parallel universes and time travel, and he believes that the human species is being led to a higher level of existence. He has expressed frustration that his experiences have been taken as alien contact, and has reported anomalous childhood experiences and possible early interference by intelligence or military agencies. Despite extensive testing, Strieber's brain was found to be functioning normally. Number 1, Elliot Bud Hopkins. Elliot Bud Hopkins was an American artist, author, and ufologist who is known for his research and writing on the subject of alien abductions. He was a prominent figure in the study of the phenomenon and is often referred to as the father of the abduction movement. Hopkins was inclined to believe that alien abductions were a form of genetic experimentation and likened them to assault. He described victims' experiences as severe and nightmarish and believed that both men and women could be abducted by aliens. Women in particular, according to Hopkins, seem to be part of a highly technological colonization scheme where they've been taken to spaceships, impregnated, and then had their hybrid fetuses removed. Hopkins believes that once a victim, abductees were powerless and susceptible to additional kidnapping. Critics of his work, however, argue that the phenomenon can be explained by normal hallucinatory powers of the brain, such as sleep paralysis. Hopkins rejected this idea and believed that sleep paralysis was an inadequate explanation for those who experience abductions outside of the bedroom. At a number 10 spot, we have the Roswell accident. This case is probably one of the most well-known cases, but it is said that the remains of the crashed UFO remains inside of Area 51. For those who have no idea about the Roswell incident, the story goes that on July 8th, 1947, a UFO was spotted by several people in the area of Roswell, New Mexico. One of these people included a rancher named W.W. Brazel. Brazel will report the sightings immediately to the local authorities, who then sent out a team to investigate. The team arrived at the crash site and found a large circular object that was unlike any other they had seen before. At first, the authorities believed the UFO was a weather balloon, but they soon realized that the object was made of some kind of metallic material that was completely unlike anything that had ever been seen before. They had also found strange symbols and markings on the object, which further fueled speculation about its origins. The authorities were tight-lipped about the incident, and it wasn't until several days later that the media got wind of what had happened. Soon, the story of the UFO crash of Roswell made headlines around the world, with many people speculating about the possible origins of the strange object, but in the end, there is no solid evidence if there ever was an alien here, but apparently they're in Area 51. Number 9, we have Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar is a controversial figure in the world of UFO enthusiasts. This is because he claimed to have worked on reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology at a site called S4, which is located inside of Area 51. In his interviews, Lazar claimed to have seen 9 flying saucers of extraterrestrial origin at S4, and he had also said that the technology used for propulsion was based on the manipulation of gravity, which cannot be done. Many people find this story intriguing because of the secrecy surrounding Area 51. However, the mainstream scientific community had largely dismissed his claims, and the US government had not officially acknowledged the existence of Area 51 at that time, or any sort of connection to extraterrestrial technology. Obviously. Additionally, many of the people he named as colleagues and supervisors at S4 had denied knowing him or working with him. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the idea these flying saucers are in Area 51 has been up for debate. Do you believe his claims, or is he just another guy looking for attention? Or was this some sort of top secret American aircraft no one knows about? Who knows? Number 8, weather control. Since many people believe that Area 51 produces state-of-the-art inventions, they also believe that they have a device that has the ability to control the weather. Yeah. And this theory has been speculated among Americans for years, and I bet most of you believe in this theory as well. To give more evidence to this wouldn't be the first time America dipped their toes in weather alternating projects. Introducing Project Storm Fury. Project Storm Fury was a large-scale research project conducted by the US government in the 1960s and 70s with the goal of improving the understanding and ability to predict and control hurricanes. The project was carried out by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) and involved a team of researchers who conducted a series of experiments in which various weather modification techniques were used in an attempt to weaken hurricanes as they approached land. These techniques included seeding the clouds of a hurricane with silver iodide in order to stimulate the formation of rain and disrupt the storm circulation, as well as flying aircraft into the eye walls of hurricanes to gather data and perform other experiments. So if Area 51 produced high tech like many believe, there is no doubt whether manipulation device would exist in this place. At our number 7 spot, we have Interrogation Center. Many people claim that Area 51 is a place the US government interrogated an alien species, and they also say they keep them in the underground facilities below. Supposed Area 51 scientist Bob Lazar strengthens this argument as well. He claims to have remembered catching a monetary glimpse of a small gray extraterrestrial between two guys wearing white coats while being led down a hallway at S4. He said he saw this through a tiny window. Then when he tried to get a closer look, a guard pushed him and ordered him to stop gazing and continue moving. Then another supposed worker of Area 51 named Victor claimed to have witnessed an alien interrogation in a 1997 radio broadcast. In the same interview, he supplied a blurry image that shows a human officer attempting to speak telepathically with a little extraterrestrial pilot who had been shot down by the American military. The footage is in the documentary named Area 51: The Alien Interview, which is in 1997, and he explains the encounter in much detail. So if you want a better understanding, go check that out. Number 6, we have the Majestic 12. Apart from all alien conspiracies going on in Area 51, another group of people believe that Area 51 is the home for a secret one world government. The government is known as the Majestic 12. Majestic 12, known as MJ12 or Magic 12, is the name of an alleged secret committee of scientists, military leaders, and government officials that were supposedly formed in 1947 by the executive order of President Harry S. Truman. The name Majestic 12 comes from the set of documents that were allegedly leaked in 1984, which claimed to be a briefing on the formation of the group. The purpose of the group was to investigate UFO sightings and recover any sort of extraterrestrial technology that was found. Or that's what they want you to think. The existence of this group has never been confirmed. Some people believe that the group was formed to cover up the truth about aliens, while others believe that it was a hoax created to mislead the public. However, these documents have been extensively studied and widely believed to be fraudulent. To go further in this rabbit hole and go back to aliens, others believe that the whole reason for Majestic 12 was to set up a trade opportunity with aliens, in which they already have. In the Humphreys list, we have the home of the black helicopters. Area 51 is known to have extremely advanced vehicles, but many people suggest that they also contain black helicopters. According to the black helicopter theory, shady government agencies are using these black helicopters to carry out secret operations such as surveillance and military operations in an effort to control and manipulate the entire population. Some even believe that these helicopters are equipped with advanced technology such as mind control devices and are being used to carry out experiments on unsuspecting civilians. Others suggest these helicopters have the ability to fill an entire cloud with poisonous gases and all sorts of other toxins. And if this did exist, this wouldn't be the first time the US government hid their aircraft projects, because Area 51 actually produced radar evading stealth technology utilized by the MH-60 Black Hawk helicopters in the attack on Osama bin Laden in the early 1990s. At a number 4 spot, we have Travis Walton. Alien abduction time. So in 1975, Travis Walton was working as a logger in Arizona when he claimed to have been abducted by a UFO. He was with a group of other loggers at the time, and they had all witnessed the UFO before it whisked him away. After being missing for 5 days, Walton reappeared with a strange story of having been taken aboard the UFO and subjected to a series of medical examinations by the aliens. He claimed he was taken to a somewhat operation room with 3 short bald-headed figures where he started to panic and fight them off. And this is when a human-looking figure took him to another room where he passed out and then all of a sudden reappeared on a highway completely nude. The incident gained widespread attention and was even investigated by the US Air Force. Many people were skeptical of Walton's story, and some had even suggested that he may be fabricating the whole thing. However, the other loggers who were there with Walton at the time of the incident all swore that they saw the UFO and believed that Walton was telling the truth. The story was later made into a book and film named Fire in the Sky in 1993, so go check it out. And to this day, people are still divided on the truth of Walton's story, and the incident remains one of the most well-known UFO abduction cases in history. Number 3, we have a fake moon landing. It is said that the US government was very desperate to beat Russia in the race to space. This theory essentially states that the US faked the landing on the moon with Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin acting out their mission on a secret film set, which is said to have taken place in the Hollywood Hills or Area 51. Theorists have said that filmmaker Stanley Kubrick could have helped NASA fake it because of his 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey, which proved that the technology existed to then artificially create a space-like set. Here is a supposed video of him landing on the moon. So why is this flag moving? There is no wind in space. That's the biggest question, right? Now this next part is a little bit dark. So apparently Virgil I. Grissom, Edward H. White, Roger B. Chaffee were 3 astronauts who died in a fire while testing some equipment for the first moon mission. It's rumored that they were executed by the US government because they were scared that they would say something that would reveal the truth, which is that Neil Armstrong never actually landed on the moon and it was all a movie set in Area 51. Number 2, time travel. There's a news video from 1989 of a radio show of a man claiming to be from the year 2019. He says during the radio show how in 2019 people were talking about storming Area 51. Remember what I talked about earlier? The host on the radio show then asked, what is Area 51? The man also talks about Facebook, which again had not been invented till 2003 when it was called Face Smash till 2004 when they changed the name to Facebook. The man said he didn't want to storm the base and there were shooting sounds and tons of people and everyone was screaming and running. But he said he went into the base anyway to find shelter from all the shooting, and he ended up climbing into a trap door to hide. He started to hear weird noises and felt pain coming out of his chest, and saw what he described as a bright liquid light, and then he woke up in an abandoned school building in Ohio, and he realized it was the year 1971. So what do you guys think? Hoax or real? At a number 1 spot, we have Operation Plum Bob. Operation Plum Bob was a series of nuclear tests conducted by the United States at the Nevada test site in 1957. The tests were a key part of the US nuclear weapons program and were designed to provide data on the effects of nuclear explosions and to develop new weapon designs. The test was the largest and most controversial series of nuclear tests ever conducted by the US, and it also included a number of significant firsts. The first nuclear-powered rocket was tested as part of Operation Plum Bob, as was the first airdrop of a nuclear weapon from an airplane. The tests were highly secretive, and the US government went to great lengths to keep the details of the tests hidden from the public. Despite this, the tests had a major impact on the surrounding area, and many people living near the Nevada test sites were exposed to dangerous levels of radiation. Despite the controversy surrounding this operation, it was considered a success by the US government, and provided valuable data on the effects of nuclear weapons. However, it also served as a reminder of the destructive power of these weapons and the need for caution and restraint in their use. At a number 10 spot, we have blood falls. No, these waterfalls don't actually produce real blood. Sorry guys. Blood falls is a natural phenomenon in Antarctica that gets its name from the reddish brown color of the water that flows from it. It is located on the Taylor Glacier, which is part of the McMurdo Dry Valleys in East Antarctica. The water that flows from the blood falls is high in iron, which gives it this reddish color in the first place. The source of the water at Blood Falls was a mystery for years. Scientists believed that the water was coming from a lake beneath the glacier, but they're unable to find any sort of evidence of such a lake. It was not until recently that researchers were able to confirm that the water comes from a lake that is trapped beneath the glacier, which is about 2 million years old. The lake is cut off from the surface and has been isolated for such a long time that it becomes highly saline and contains high levels of iron. The water from the lake flows through the cracks in the glacier and emerges at the Blood Falls, where it mixes with seawater from the coast. The combination of the high salt content and the iron gives the water its distinctive red color. Blood Falls is an important site for scientific research as it provides insight into the history of Antarctica and the processes that shape the continent over time. But hey, most people don't even care about that because it looks like blood. makes for a way better story. Number 9, Martian meteorites. Allen Hills 84001 or ALH 84001 is a meteorite that was discovered in 1984 in the Allen Hills region of Antarctica. The meteorite is believed to have originated from Mars, and it is one of the oldest known meteorites from the planet. ALH 84001 has garnered significant attention from scientists and the media due to the possibility that it could contain evidence of past life on Mars. In 1996, a team of scientists led by David McKee of NASA's Johnson Space Center published a paper in the journal Science that claimed to have found evidence of microbial life in the meteorite. The team claimed that they had found small structures within the meteorite that resembled fossilized bacteria, as well as chemicals that could have been produced by living organisms. The discovery of possible signs of past life on Mars sparked intense debate among scientists and the general public, and it still remains a topic of scientific investigation to this day. Although some scientists have challenged the conclusions of the 1996 study, others have continued the study of the meteorites and searched for further evidence of past life on Mars. Now the meteorite is currently housed at the National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C., so if you ever want to see real Martian material, this is the place to go. Number 8, the strongest winds on the planet. Antarctica is known as the windiest continent on Earth due to several factors. One of the factors is the lack of obstacles at the surface, such as hills, buildings, or trees, which allows the wind to flow freely. In addition, some areas of the continent have large slopes that can generate intense winds, and the presence of large temperature contrasts can create strong winds due to the resulting pressure differences. The strongest winds in Antarctica, called the katabatic winds, occur in the coastal regions only. These winds are caused by the movement of dense cold air from high elevations to the coast, where it accelerates and can reach velocities of over 200 kilometers per hour. These winds are so strong that they can even transport sea ice away from the coast in the winter, leaving the ocean ice-free despite the freezing temperatures. The highest wind ever recorded here in Antarctica was at a French base back in 1972, with winds reaching up to 320 kilometers per hour, 200 miles per hour just for you Americans. The most odd thing about this is that most of the time it isn't even snowing here, but instead it's due to the strong winds picking up everything on the ground and just moving it around. At a number 7 spot, we have antibiotic resistant bacteria. Researchers from the University of Chile have discovered that certain bacteria in Antarctica have genes that give them natural antibiotic and antimicrobial resistance. Yup, just went through one pandemic, looks like we're eventually going to encounter another one. Anyways, these genes, which allow the bacteria to survive in extreme conditions, are contained in mobile DNA fragments that can be easily transferred to other bacteria. The researchers collected samples from the Antarctic Peninsula between 2017 and 2019 and found that Pseudomonas bacteria, which is a common group in the region, are not pathogenic but can be a source of resistant genes that are resistant to common disinfectants. The researchers raised concerns that climate change could increase the risk of infectious diseases spreading from the polar regions, which just means that the ice is containing global level dangers and it's just a matter of time for it to melt and release it to the world. Number 6, weird life forms. Scientists conducting research in Antarctica have made a surprising discovery of stationary sponge-like creatures living in a submerged region beneath the ice shelf. These organisms, which are similar to sea sponges, are able to survive in complete darkness at temperatures of negative 2.2 degrees Celsius and a distance of 260 kilometers from the open sea, which is something that a few known life forms are able to achieve. The discovery raises many questions for scientists, including how the creature got there, how long they were there for, and what they feed on. It is also unclear whether these creatures are common throughout Antarctica or if they're only found in this exact region. This is the first record of a community living in the depths of an ice shelf, and it challenges current theories about the development of life. Climate change and the increasing collapse of ice shelves in recent years have made it urgent for scientists to study and protect these ecosystems before they are destroyed. However, reaching these creatures, which are 260 kilometers beneath the surface, will require new and innovative methods of study. In the hunt for a list, we have the Piri-Reis map. The Piri-Reis map is a historical document that has garnered much attention and controversy over the years, more specifically for showing that Antarctica was ice-free. Created in the early 16th century by Ottoman Turkish admiral and the cartographer Piri-Reis, the map is known for its detailed and accurate depiction of the coast and features of the New World. This included includes South America, the Caribbean, and parts of the east coast of North America. In addition to these features, the map also includes notes of the geography, climate, and indigenous people of the regions depicted. However, it is the depiction of the northern coast of Antarctica of the Peary's map that has sparked the most controversy. According to the map, the northern coast of Antarctica is shown as being ice-free, which some believe suggests that the continent was mapped before it was covered in ice. This idea has been met with skepticism, obviously, as there is no historic or scientific evidence to even support it. In fact, geological evidence suggests that the latest date that the Queen Maud land in Antarctica could have been charted as an ice-free state is around 4000 BC. Whether or not the Peary's map truly holds the key to a lost civilization or an ancient mystery remains to be seen, but one thing is for certain: it continues to captivate the imagination and spark debate among historians and researchers to this day. Number 4, Mount Erebus. Mount Erebus is an active stratovolcano located on Ross Island in Antarctica. It is the highest volcano in Antarctica and the southernmost active volcano on Earth. Mount Erebus is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is a region around the Pacific Ocean that is prone to earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, which also means it is the most active volcano in Antarctica and has been continuously erupting since 1972. The volcano is known for its persistent degassing lava lake, which is one of the only few in the world. The most obvious danger is the risk of volcanic eruptions, which can release ash, lava, and other volcanic materials. These materials can cause damage to infrastructure and disrupt transportation, as well as posing an extreme risk to people who live near the volcano. But obviously it's Antarctica, so not a lot of people live here. Unrelated to the dangers of the volcano, but there was a horrific event that took place on Mount Erebus as well, which was when Air New Zealand McDonnell Douglas DC-10 aircraft crashed into the side of the volcano. The plane was carrying 257 people, including passengers and the crew, and all aboard were killed in the crash. This has led many people in the area to believe to not only worry about the volcano, but also the spirits of these people who passed away from this plane ride. Number 3, Lake Vostok. Lake Vostok is a large subglacial lake located in Antarctica beneath the Russian Vostok Station. It is the largest of the subglacial lakes in Antarctica and one of the largest in the world. However, it is located 4,000 meters beneath the East Antarctic ice sheet and is covered by thick layers of ice. It is thought to be one of the most isolated and pristine bodies of water on Earth, as it has been cut off from the surface for millions of years. Lake Vostok was first discovered in the 1970s by Russian scientists using satellite imagery and ice-penetrating radar. The lake is named after Russian Vostok Station, which is located on the ice sheet above it. Scientists believe that Lake Vostok could contain unique and diverse life forms, as it has been isolated from the surface for such a long time. This has caused many conspiracists claiming that the lake contains dangerous viruses and ever more concerning predators. In 2012, Russian scientists successfully drilled down to the lake and collected samples of water and ice from its surface. The findings revealed thousands of bacteria, pollen, and all sorts of marine organisms. 2. Mummified penguins. Ornithologist Stephen Emsley made a surprising discovery while exploring the coast of Antarctica's Ross Sea in 2016. They found the corpses of both newly dead and mummified Adelie penguins. Emsley excavated some of the remains and took them back to his lab for radiocarbon analysis, which revealed that some of the remains were nearly 800 years old, while others were as ancient as 5,000 years old. Emsley believes that the corpses were frozen in ice and preserved for centuries, and that the warming climate caused the ice to melt and reveal the ancient penguin colony. You could only imagine seeing an entire penguin graveyard. It would definitely be a pretty unsettling thing to see, especially seeing them fully intact due to the cold conditions. Emsley's analysis also revealed that the penguin colony at the site had experienced 3 waves of occupation, with the last wave occurring 800 to 1,000 years ago. Emsley also speculates that the penguins abandoned the colony during the onset of the Little Ice Age, which covered the area in ice and snow and likely blocked the penguins' access to the ocean. This discovery is in the documentary named Secrets in the Ice, so if you ever want to see what they saw, I highly recommend seeing this. Number 1, the Singing Ross Ice Shelf. The Ross Ice Shelf is a large thick mass of floating ice that extends from the continent of Antarctica into the Southern Ocean. It's famous for the sounds it makes, which many say is reminiscent of a didgeridoo or the drone of a horror film soundtrack. It is also the largest ice shelf in the world, covering an area of about 500,000 square miles. The Ross Ice Shelf is constantly in motion, with ice flowing from the continent out onto the shelf. This movement can cause the ice to crack and creak, which is the real reason why some people have reported hearing a sound coming from the ice shelf. There are several possible explanations for this phenomenon. One theory is that the sound is caused from the ice shelf's motion and the friction between the ice and the underlying rock. Another possibility is that the sound is caused from the vibration of the ice shelf as it moves and flexes. Regardless of the cause, the sound is a fascinating and mysterious aspect of the ice shelf that continues to intrigue scientists and the general public to this day.